Hello and welcome to day 12 of our 12 Days of Christmas Patterns. We're so sad that this is the last day, but we can't wait to share with you our very last pattern, our Christmas penguin. So let's gather some supplies and we will get started. So for today's project, I'm going to be using classic baby snuggle yarn. I'm going to be making a blue penguin, but you can do whatever colors you like. For the penguin pattern that I'm doing, there's 3 different shades. So if you're going to do purple, do 3 different shades of purple, and pink, same kind of situation. So I'm going to be using this light blue for the eye area, this dark blue for the head, and then the medium blue for the body. We're also going to need some white, medium white yarn, or whatever color you want your scarf to be. That will be the color you choose. And then I'm also going to need a little bit of yellow yarn, that's for the nose. We're also going to need our crochet hooks. I'm mostly going to be using my 5.5 millimeter, but I also have a 4 millimeter crochet hook here, and that's just to attach the wings. I'm also going to need some scissors, a darning needle, some fiber fill. These are some safety eyes, and they are 8 millimeter safety eyes. And we'll need some ribbon to attach to our Christmas tree. So once we have all of our supplies collected, we can start with the head. All right, so to begin, we're going to start with the head, and we're going to start with our darkest yarn. So if you are going to do the 3 different shades, start with your darkest yarn right now. And for me, that's this navy blue. It might look black on camera, but it is blue. So I'm just going to create a magic ring here. And then for round 1, we are going to be doing 8 single crochets within the magic ring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I'm just going to pull my magic ring closed. Now we're going to place a stitch marker. Now I personally like to use a scrap strand of yarn. I just find it easier for myself, so I'm just going to place it there. I know it's kind of hard to see on camera, but I just placed it right in front of my very last stitch I just made. And that's going to mark where my rows begin and end. So moving on to round 2, we're going to do an increase round. So an increase stitch is 2 single crochets in 1 stitch. So we're going to place into this first stitch here, we're going to place a single crochet, and then we're going to go right back into that stitch and place another single crochet. We'll do that all the way around into all 8 stitches. So at the end of round 2, you should have 16 stitches. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then I'm just going to bring my stitch marker up, and I'm ready for round 3. All right, so moving on to round 3, we're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and an increase stitch. So 1, 2, 3, and increase. So 2 stitches in 1 again. 1, 2, and we're going to repeat that a total of 4 times. 2, 3, increase, and you should have a stitch count of 20 at the end of round 3. 3, increase, one more time, 1, 2, 3, and increase. All right, moving on for rounds 4 and 5, so 2 rounds, we're going to do single crochet 20. So 1 single crochet in each stitch around for the rounds 4 and 5. So I'm going to complete these rounds off camera, and I will meet you back here for round 6. All right, so that is round 5 complete. Now we're going to move on to round 6, and round 6 we're going to start our color changes. So in order to do the color change, what we're going to do is we're going to take our hook out and we're going to pull out just the top loop here of our last single crochet. So you should still have the 2 loops of your single crochet, and normally you would wrap around and pull through. But what we're going to do is we're going to grab our color B yarn, and now for me this is going to be the lightest shade that you have for your project. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that new shade and I'm going to pull it through to complete that last single crochet of round 5, and now we have our new yarn attached. Now just keep your color A yarn attached because we're going to be doing some color changes. So to start off round 6, we're going to do 2 single crochets in the color B yarn. So 1 and 2. Now we're not going to finish this stitch. We're going to pull our yarn to the side, grab that same color A yarn that's still attached, wrap it around our hook, pull through. That's going to finish that second single crochet in color B yarn, and now we're going to have our new color on. So in color A yarn, we're going to do 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, and on the third one, we're not going to finish it. Put that to the side, grab our color B yarn here, yarn over, pull through, making sure you're giving yourself a little bit of slack on the inside so that when we stuff our penguin, you're not going to have any pulling here, what's going to change the shape of your face. So now that we have the light color, the color B yarn attached, we're going to do another 2 single crochets in that color. So 1, and on the second one, we're not going to finish it. Switch back, finish off with color A. Now we're going to do 12 single crochets in our color A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And on the 12th one, we're going to again switch our yarn. And I know that this can get a little bit messy, but I find it easier than cutting the yarn every time. But that's definitely an option if that's what you prefer. And to finish off round 6, we're going to place 1 single crochet. Just like that. Now I'm just going to move my stitch marker, and that's what we're looking like right now for round 6. Now for round 7, we're going to start off with 3 single crochets in this color B yarn. So 1, 2, and then 3, but we're not going to finish this with this color. We're going to grab our color A and finish that off. Then we're going to do 1 single crochet in this color A yarn. Finish that off with the color B yarn. Then we're going to do 4 single crochets in color B yarn. 2, 3, and 4. Finish off with color A. Now we're going to do 11 single crochets in color A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Switch our color again. Back to our color B yarn. And we're just going to do our last single crochet in the color B here. And that is round 7. Now, with our color B attached, for round 8, we're going to start off with 8 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and on the 8th one, we're going to switch our yarn here. And then in our color A yarn, we're going to do 11 single crochets again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And now with the end of our color A yarn, we're going to grab our color C yarn, which is the medium shade of whatever you're doing. And we're going to finish that single crochet with this new shade. And then we're going to do 1 single crochet in that shade. And that is round 8 completed. Now we're done with these 2 colors, so I'm just going to cut this yarn here. And I'm just going to kind of organize myself a little bit. I'm just going to make a little knot here where I just did that color change just to secure. And then I'm going to find that end at the beginning here from the color B yarn, and I'm going to place a really loose knot again because I don't want to change the shape of our yarn, but I also just want to have a little bit of extra security, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm just going to stuff all these ends in. Just like that. And then we are ready for our color C yarn. So that was the end of round 8. So now for rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12, so 4 rounds, we're going to go around in our color C yarn and do 20 single crochets for each round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just like that, all the way around for rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12. And once you're done that, we will meet back here for the next step. All right, so this is what we're looking like at the end of round 12. So before we continue, we're going to place our eyes. So I'm just going to grab my safety eyes here. And we are going to place our eyes on round 7 and 8 of the front. So these little light blue spots, that's kind of the eye area. So we're going to do round 7 and 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 7 and 8 is right here. And we kind of want to just place them right in the middle somewhere. It doesn't really have to be perfect, but it's kind of nice we have these like little guides here to keep it straight. So that's kind of where we're going to put our eyes. And once you're happy with that, I'm just going to place the backings on. There we go. All right, so there are our eyes attached. All right, so once we have our eyes attached, we're going to attach our nose. So I'm going to take my yellow yarn with my darning needle, and we're going to attach our nose, or beak, sorry, to the top of round 8. So we'll count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is round 8. So we're going to work on the top here, right about here. Now, what we're going to do is I'm just going to insert my needle here, about 1-ish stitches. I just split this stitch because I think that that's what's going to make it the most even. I'm just going to pull that through, and then we're going to go onto the other side around the same spot, insert it, and then we're going to push it right back out from where we started. So that's our nose, our beak, but I kind of like to do a few layers of loops here to make it a little bit more full. So I'm just going to do one more here. So I'm going to have a total of 3, and I'm just going to push my needle here out to where I started, just like that. And then I'm just going to cut this yarn, and on the side here I'm going to just tie a really light knot just to secure it, but not to change the shape of the beak. And then I'll just take my needle here, my smaller hook, sorry, and just going to pull that through into the body. Just like that. And then those ends can just be stuffed in with the rest of them. So that is the beak attached and our eyes attached. And now we can move on to round 13. So for round 13, we're going to do our decrease round. So we're going to do the combination single crochet 3 and a decrease. So 1, 2, 3. And I like to do invisible decreases. So we're going to take this front loop of this first stitch, and then we're going to grab the front loop of the next stitch, yarn over, pull through those 2, yarn over, pull through again. And that's a decrease stitch. Now we're going to repeat that combination, single crochet 3 and decrease a total of 4 times, and you should have 16 stitches at the end of this round. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease, so front loop, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease again, and that is round 13. Now we just have one final round to do, but before we do that, we're going to stuff. So I'm just going to grab my fiber fill here, and I like to make sure that all my yarn ends from our changing of the colors here is kind of at the front where this is, just so that there's no pulling on my stitches. And then I'm just going to stuff my head body area here of my penguin. Just like that. Do a little bit more, and I will probably do one more stuffing after the final round here once it's a little bit tighter. So for the final round of our penguin here, I am going to just do 8 decrease stitches. So we're just going to decrease all the way around a total of 8 times. And we have 16 stitches right now, so at the end of round 14, we will have 8 stitches. There we go. So once that round is done, I'm just going to cut my yarn. I'm going to pull my stitch marker out, and I'm just going to take my end here, and I'm going to make a little slip stitch into this next stitch, pull that through and pull, and that's just going to kind of knot it off for us. Now I am going to add a little bit more stuffing because I don't like that the bottom of my guy is not full enough. So Just going to add a little bit more here. And then once we're done stuffing, I'm just going to take my smaller 4mm hook and I'm going to go into the front loop of the next stitch and I'm going to pull my yarn tail through. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch and do the same thing. And I'm going to do that all for all 8 stitches. And about halfway you can just kind of pull and you'll notice that that final round there is getting smaller. Just like that. And then once I'm done, I'm just going to create a little knot just for extra security. And then I'm just going to insert my hook here and weave in that end. And of course this yarn, it falls apart really easily, so I have lots of some yellow fluffies here. But that is our penguin body, beak, and eyes all completed. And now we'll move on to the next step. All right, so once we're finished the head body portion, we're going to work on the wings. Now this is a no-sew pattern except for the beak. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working with our 4.0mm crochet hook. And we're going to be working directly into the body here with our color C yarn. So what we're going to do first is with our color C yarn, we're going to create a slip stitch. So I'm just, or sorry, slip knot. Create my slip knot here. Now we're going to be working into the bottom of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of round 8. And what we're going to do is we're going to insert it 2 stitches from where we change the color to the light. So right here is where we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and pull through to attach that to the body. Now what we're going to do is we're going to chain 5. So yarn over, pull through, that's 1. Yarn over, pull through, that's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Next, we're going to skip this very first chain closest to our hook and into the second, third, fourth, and 5th chain, we're going to place a single crochet. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Next, we're going to take our end here and going into the very next stitch, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Now we're going to cut our yarn. And we're just going to pull that all the way through. So that is what we're looking like right now. There's our little fin, or our wing attached. Next, I'm just going to take my darning needle and I'm just going to insert it right in the center here. And I'm just going to sew the center on because with that slip stitch, the center may be a little loose. And I'm just going to then insert it over and push it all the way back. And then with the other side here, the other yarn end, I'm going to do the same thing, insert, push it through the same hole. Just make sure there's no pulling, and then I'm just going to tie a little knot here just to secure it. Cut. Just cut that larger end there, and then just gonna use my smaller hook to weave in those ends. Here we go. So that is one of our little fins completed. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. All right, so again, we're going to take our yarn here. We're going to make a slip knot. And we're going to insert it. I'm just going to flip myself upside down here, 2 stitches over from our color change. And then I'm going to do my 5 chains, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip the first into the second, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then I'm just going to slip stitch to the body again to complete that. Cut my yarn, pull that through. All right, and then I'm just going to take my darning needle. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did on the other side here. I'm just going to go into the center, and I'm just going to sew that, and then I'm going to just go over and push it there. And then with this yarn end, same thing, just going to insert it and push it over into the same stitch here. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot. I'm just going to cut those ends, and then I'm just going to weave my ends in here with my hook. And there are our little fins attached. You can just kind of mold them how you want. And there you go. So now we will work on the scarf. All right, now moving on to the scarf, I'm going to grab my medium weight yarn. I'm going to be using white, and I lied to you, we will need a smaller hook. I'm just going to be using my 3.5mm crochet hook. You can use a 4 as well. It will just make it a tiny bit bigger, but that's okay. So to start our scarf, we're going to make a slip knot. And then once we have our slip knot, we're going to chain 55. Now, 55 works for me with my tension, but basically you just want it to be able to wrap around with a little bit of overlap. So 55 is too long or too short. Just make however many chains you're going to need to make it go all the way around with a little bit of an overlap at the front. So for me, that's going to be 55. So I'm going to work on that one. Oopsies. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so there's my 55. So I'm just gonna double check that this still works for this penguin that I'm working on, because I've made it before, but my tension changes all the time. So I'm just going to place it. It's going to go right around the front like this. So I could even make mine a tiny bit longer. So I may even do that. Maybe just do 5, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61. Let's see here. Yeah, that's not bad. So I'm going to do 61 for mine this time. So I might have used a bit of a thicker tension this time, or looser tension, sorry, than when I made my last one. So once we have our chains, next what we're going to do is we're going to do the combination slip stitch and half double crochet. So we're going to skip this very first chain that's closest to our hook, and into the second chain we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and pull through. Next we're going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3 for a half double crochet. Then we're going to do a slip stitch into the next, then a half double crochet, then slip stitch, then half. And we're just going to do that all the way along. So just work your way along doing a slip stitch and then a half double crochet. And I will meet you back here at the end of your scarf. All right, so here is our scarf. Now I kind of like a skinny scarf. If you want to make it a little bit thicker, you can chain 1 here and turn and do another row of half double crochet and slip stitch. But I'm going to leave mine this thin because that's kind of what I like. So I just cut my yarn and I'm just going to yarn over and pull through to end off that row there. Now what we want to do is we're going to create little tassels on the ends of our scarf. So I'm just going to take some of this yarn again and I'm going to grab it and I'm just going to wrap it around my hand a few times. We don't need too many, probably 10 is like more than enough. And then I'm just going to cut that. So we just have these little ends here. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to take a couple strands here and I'm going to insert them into the end. Just going to pull through a loop and then insert my fingers into that loop, pull those yarn ends, the tails there, and then you'll have your little tassels. So I'm just going to do that along the whole bottom here. However many you want to get the look that you want there. I'm just going to do another one here. There we go. Now this one that sticks out here is from the yarn end, so I'm just going to pull it in so it's not so sticking out. Same with this guy. Just gonna pull this one through. Leave that one. Now we're just going to cut our tassel to whatever length you want. And then I like to just kind of comb out the strands of yarn so it looks more fluffy. So I'm just taking my darning needle here and I'm just going through and trying to separate those strands as best I can to make them and there is our tassel on one side, so we'll just repeat on the other side and then we'll meet back here. Alright, so once we have our scarf done, we can grab our penguin And we're just going to wrap our scarf around right over where the color changes and right where our fins attach. And I like to kind of keep mine a little bit to the side, kind of like that. I'll pull a little bit actually. Just try and get it in the spot you want it. Just like that. And then you can either sew it right to the body, or you can sew it just together the scarf, so that you can remove it if you want. So I'm just going to take my darning needle here and some white yarn, or whatever yarn you use to crochet your scarf. And I'm just going to sew my scarf together here. Here we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut my yarn. I'm going to put one piece on, and I'm gonna attach mine to the body here. So I'm just gonna insert one piece and push it to the back. And then I'm going to grab the other piece, and I'm going to put it in a separate spot and again push it to the back. Here we go. And then I'm just going to tie a little knot here, and that's just going to secure it. I'll cut that. And then I'm just going to use my small hook here to weave those ends in. And there is our scarf attached. All right, so once we have our penguin all done, the last thing to do is attach our ribbon. So I'm just going to take my ribbon with my darning needle here, and I'm just going to insert it into the very top in the center, pull that through. Now I'm just going to pull my ends even here. I like to tie a little bow, but you don't have to. So the first thing is you're just going to tie a little knot, and you want to tie it to where you think you have enough room to hang it on your tree, and then you're going to tie a knot there. Now if you're going to be doing these for markets or people that are going to be purchasing them, I would definitely maybe put a little dab of hot glue there just to secure it extra. Then I'm just going to create a little bow here. Just like that. And if your ends are too long, you can always cut them, but I think I'm going to leave mine. And there is our little penguin Christmas tree ornament. I hope you guys really enjoyed this pattern and all 12 of the patterns for Christmas this year. Make sure you tag us in all your makes so that we can see everything that you made. I hope you have a fantastic holiday season if you celebrate Christmas. Otherwise, I hope you get some great time with family and friends and loved ones, and we will see you in the new year. Bye!